Hi there, my name's Vince from mymatevince.com, and in this video today it's another trying to fix video, and this one we're going to be trying to fix this Guzzlers from the 1980, which is a car that runs by placing water in here, but it doesn't really. It's got a battery in here, but somehow the water makes the circuit and then it starts working. So I bought this from eBay for £7. So let's have a read of the instructions, add some water to it and see exactly what's wrong. Initially I can see that this wheel here is loose, and it looks like this is the one that connects it to the motor. So I hope it's not as simple as just the fact that it's missing that there. Right, let's read the instructions. And it says here to insert a 9-volt battery, and it says fit a rubber band supplied to around the rim of the left wheel. So that's basically this one here. So this is the only wheel that drives the actual car. And it says fuel in your guzzler. Fill the fuel can with ordinary tap water. Fuel the guzzler by squeezing a small amount of water from the fuel can into the fuel intake on the bonnet. Guzzler's motor is now on and ready to zoom off, and then basically you turn this to make it run. So you turn it to the right to make it run faster, watch them spin out at the fastest speed, and turn to the left and it travels farther and slower. So you can become an expert by adjusting that. And it says Guzzlers will stop running if overfilled. To prevent this and to maintain top performance, remove the drain plug and empty water from crankcase after 2 to 4 runs. So obviously this is the drain thing here, isn't it? So let's pop the battery in and actually see what's happening with it. Is that working? Yeah, that's working. Let's drop some in here. Oops. Not sure how much you're supposed to put in actually. Did it just say a couple of drops? Squeezing a small amount of water, but I don't quite know what a small amount is. Right, okay, so... Oh, here we go. There, it is working. Wow, God, that's fast. Slower and faster. Listen. Oh, and then when the water drains out, does it just stop? How do you stop the thing? Or do you just empty out the water from it? Yeah, so when the water goes out. Okay, right, so basically there is nothing wrong with it. So this is not going to make an interesting video. It just needs, I need to somehow clamp this wheel back on. I'm amazed at how quick it goes. So let's take this thing apart. Okay, so this is it here. So what do we have? Oh, this is quite interesting. Right, so originally, so the front axle is quite rusty, as you can see there. But look, can you see this here? This is like a little Scalextrics thing, isn't it? You know, like a Scalextrics trigger, where you push your trigger down and it goes across here. So we've got the blue lead from here, from the negative of the battery, and then the red lead from the motor goes up to this point here, and depending on where we have this depends on how much power is getting pushed through, doesn't it? Hold on now. So what was it? Right increases it, wasn't it, to the right? Yeah. So when it's here it goes quick, and when it's here it goes slow. Now if you have a look, it is rusty there. I wonder whether when the seller did it originally it was just like that and it didn't run. So we'll have a look at that in a minute. Now what happens here? So water goes in here. How does the water there make a connection? Really, I need to take this board off to be able to see what's underneath here. I still don't know by putting water in there what it connects up to. But by me doing this, I wonder if I'm going to break it, because maybe that is the part of the circuit underneath there. Should we do it anyway? Because it's of no real value, is it? I mean, don't get me wrong, I don't want to break it, but it's pointless if I just if I don't understand it. I bet you it was just on that bit of rust there and it wasn't making a contact, and the seller didn't read the instructions at the back to realise that you had to turn this, and if he had turned that it would have sprung to life. I'll be able to get them undone without taking all this stuff off. Now before I get all the comments, I know that obviously this is very bad because this has been around for a long time now, and essentially I'm ruining it, especially for a collector. But remember, it was sold as not working. Nobody else was putting offers in on it. It's not exactly as if it was in high demand. It's not that I want to break it, but for me, the interest of how it works is more important than the £7 that I spent on it. Now, I'm not intending to break it. I do actually want to have it working at the end. It's just that I want to know how it works more than having the end result working. How does that work? Still doesn't mean anything to me. So you're putting in water, you put water in here and it must come up through these holes. Let's put some water in and see what's happening. Right, so I'm going to put water in here. Oh look. Ah, right, fine, 100%. You don't need much and they come up on those holes which must make the circuit between this screw and this screw. So now, let's see, let's work this one out. We should be able to trace. So everything's covered in the thing so it doesn't short out. But did they really need to have so much on top? Yes, I suppose it has to be on top because if the water, if it was to leak and then go on top, it's also going to make the circuit, isn't it? So it's something to do with these two connecting to each other that makes the circuit. I'm a bit confused why they've got this blob around here though. I would have thought it would have gone around both of them. You know what I mean? In a way it looks like it's been insulated from it. Oh, sorry, it's the screws. What am I on about? It's the bottom of the screws that make... Ah, right, okay, of course, right. We know now when we put the water in here, there, can you see it comes up there? So obviously it doesn't need much water in there before it fills up. And then all that's happening is these two screws are shorting against each other then via the water, which is then joining these two bits together, which is making the circuit. So if I put everything back together and if we just get a bit of wire and join these two things, or get some pliers, join these two together, in theory it should work. Right, so I've got a battery in it. Let's just see now what happens. I'm going to get some tweezers and start shorting things out. Right, so when I short out these two pins here, the two screws, it does work, even though there's no water going between here and here. So this must be where the water's doing its thing. Ah, no, it's not doing it now. Right, I don't know what I've done, but I've stopped it. I've stopped it from working. So I've just kind of scribbled out what's what. So basically this one here just goes straight to this hole here, yeah? So this is like the negative goes straight to this one here. Now the positive goes to this side of the resistor. It also goes around to this side of the leg here, of the, let's call it a transistor, and it goes to this leg of this transistor here. Now this side of the resistor goes to the middle leg of this transistor, and it also goes to this screw hole here. You know the ones, these are the insulated ones, so that's why I've done that kind of blob here, because that means that's the like insulated ones. And then this leg of the transistor goes to the middle leg of this transistor here. This side of the transistor goes all the way up to this one here, and also this one, but this is insulated, so you have to kind of scrape on the inside for it to work. So basically that leg goes to this one here. So if I was to put it together and, for example, short these two, then all that's happening is the positive is going from here to right the way to here, and then it's going to work because this side, well, I'll show you. There you go, just need a bit of pressure there. And this is interesting. When I move this along here, you can hear that it's increasing in speed. Let's push it. Yep. And if we just take that completely off a minute, if I get my meter here and just put it to normal ohms test, watch this. If I go between, for example, here and here, look at the reading, right? And so obviously the motor's not running as quick then. So we're at 24 ohms. Now watch, move a little bit along and it will drop to, like, for example, 20, move a bit along and it will go to 16 until we've got a complete short. 11, 5, until we're over here, or all the way over here, and then we'll have a complete short. I'm thinking that when I messed around with shorting out these two bits here, I think I blew whatever this is here. You know, when I look online, that doesn't mean anything. Then even if it was just a transistor, is it a PNP? Is it an NPN? How do I find out what this is if the markings don't mean anything? Okay, so what I'm working on now, I know it's probably completely pointless, but what I've done is I have got a pack of transistors that I got from like CPC, and it's got different transistors with it. So it's like a kit, transistor kit. So first of all, I put in this one here, which was an NPN. Now remember, I don't know if the one that came out is a transistor or not. But the first one I put in was an NPN, and all that happened was when I applied 9 volts to this side here, just using my bench power supply, I got 9 volts out on the end here. So when I put it into the car, obviously it's just going to work all the time as soon as the battery's connected. So then what I did is I've now put in a PNP. I've put the next one along, so I'm just going to work my way along. And now I've just put the voltage on it, and to begin with it was only reading like 1 volt at the end, but then I put a tiny drop of water across it and it did go up to 9 volts. So I'm wondering, I've sort of got my hopes up now. So let me put the positive there. I've got 9 volts on these leads here. Now if you watch this, I've got my multimeter here, to zoom out a bit, put it to DC voltage. I'm just going to go on the negative and here, and can you see at the moment it's reading like 1.7 volts, 1.4, you see it's yeah, 1.4. Now if I put my finger in a little bit of water and just put it across here like that, and now if I go between here and here, can you see it's reading 8.7? And now if I just kind of mop that up again, it will go back to 1.5. So I think I'm going to give that a go, see what happens. It would be great if it was to work again, because it was definitely me that messed it up in the first place. Still not quite sure how I managed to mess it up by just shorting across there. So yes, it does. It does work. Let's just see if it wears itself down. Oh yes, it does. How lucky am I? I really thought I'd messed it up. So it's a PNP transistor that needs to go in there. Right, so now I've got to sit over it again with this silly lamp. Right, I'm still waiting for that to go off, so in the meantime I've just been thinking about what I'm going to use here, and I think I've come up with something that's really going to work well. I bought a load of gears ages ago when I was trying to fix up, I think it was the Wii a long time ago, and if you look at this one here, that is going to fit on there perfectly. There you go. So I don't want to force it on anymore, it needs to go on a little bit more, but look, that's pretty solid on there. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to get some sandpaper now. I'm going to hold it here and I'm going to round it off a little bit. Then I'm just going to paint it black. I think I'm going to leave it like that. Can you see I've just sort of rounded it? But when it's in there now, obviously it still does look like a gear, but I think that looks quite nice. So now I'm going to paint that black. Well, actually I'm going to put it on and then I'm going to paint it black. See, that can freewheel, but now that's only going to spin with the motor. So yeah, I'm very happy with that one. Do you know what? I think that will be a lasting repair. Now I haven't got the right size rubber band for it, but what I have got is my daughter's got these loom bands from years ago, and I picked out some black ones. So I'm just going to put probably 3 of them around the wheel, and then that will help it give it some grip. Still hardening up. It's starting to go now. It's squidgy underneath, but there's definitely forming a skin on the top layer. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to get a wet wipe. I'm going to clean the car inside here as well, and also underneath around here, just to get rid of the dust and any tiny little bits of rust that's just sat on the plastic. Top back on it now, so you can see that this has got a skin across the top now, so hopefully that's going to keep the water out. I've put a bit of silicone grease down here and everything's been nicely cleaned up. So let's put it back together, and that's the wheel there. You can see that if you're like a couple of foot away, you can't really notice the difference between them. Yeah, so let's pop the top on. I'm not sure whether I'm going to have to glue it on or not, or whether it's going to work like this. Brilliant. It's just gone back on. It didn't go on with a nice click or anything, but yeah, I'm just going to go with that. So what we're going to do to begin with is let's just put it down at about a low speed. My son's just going to put a couple of drops of water in, just to see how it goes when you haven't got much in there. And then what we'll do is we'll put the speed up more, and we'll put a little bit more in there. There you go, so you can see now it goes in quite a nice straight line, doesn't it? So now, let's, obviously this kitchen's not big enough, so now let's put the speed up a little bit. Well, let's put the speed up max, so now put a little bit more water in it. There you go. Can you see now it gets much more speed? So that's it, wheel spinning there. Yeah. So when you put more water in, it does last for longer. There, it's losing speed now. So hopefully you might have got a bit of entertainment from it too. If you did, please give it a thumbs up and please subscribe for more Trying to Fix videos. Take care. Bye now.